is a video about how everything in the martial arts sucks. Aikido sucks, MMA sucks, all the martial arts suck, everything's terrible. You know, if you look around the internet, everyone's got an opinion about why something sucks. Everybody loves to say, oh, it's terrible, oh, this system's so bad. If you watched my previous video, I discussed a little bit about what martial arts systems are. So if you watched that and understood what I was talking about, you can kind of see that it's really silly to say that a system sucks. You know, there are systems that are better at one thing than another thing. And it's possible that a system was poorly put together, but generally for most of the systems at large that we're going to be talking about, not smaller systems that recently came about, but larger systems, they don't suck. They are designed to do what they're designed to do, and if you understand that, it works well for you, and if you don't understand that, it doesn't work well for you, and it's that simple. But people tend to say stuff sucks, you know, so like I practice Aikido, and all the time people love to tell me how Aikido sucks. Oh, it's terrible. Oh, you don't know how to clinch fight, you don't know how to box, you don't know how to blah, 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 blah. Well, the real truth is Aikido is not concerned with clinch fighting, and it's not concerned with boxing. So when you're holding those things up, it's no different than me saying, you know, like boxing sucks, Western boxing sucks because you don't learn how to sail a sailboat with it, right? It's like, well, why would I expect Western boxing to teach me how to sail a sailboat? You're stupid for telling me that. And that's exactly the way I feel when people talk about how Aikido sucks because you can't box with it, or how Aikido sucks because you can't grapple with it, or how Aikido sucks because you can't throw like you would in Judo or something with it. And then, you know, I say all those things and people go, well, if it sucks at all three of those things, then it must just suck at fighting because that's all fighting. It's like, well, there's an awful lot to fighting. There's an awful lot to conflict that's way outside of throwing and striking and grappling, which is the big three people tend to think about when you think about martial arts. Like, well, either it's a striking art, or it's a throwing art, or it's a grappling art, and that's all there is to it, right? Well, no, that's not all there is to it. You know, Kendo doesn't teach you how to box, it doesn't teach you how to grapple, and it doesn't teach you how to throw. Yet, a good Kendoka will definitely defeat other sport martial artists within its context of Kendo. Now, if the Kendo guy tries to box with a boxer, he'll lose. Of course he will, because he doesn't study boxing. Kendo has nothing to do with boxing, and similar to Aikido. One of the reasons that I would agree with people that a lot of Aikido sucks is there's not a live training practice to it. So, live training is very, very important. And a lot of Aikido practitioners, especially in recent times, have really done some work to try and get live practice into Aikido. And let's not forget that Shotokan Aikido, Tamiki Ryu, has, and I know some people don't like calling it that, I'm sorry, has a live practice and has had a live practice for a very, very long time. So it's not that all Aikido is void, you know. That's, Aikido sucks. I hear that all the time, you know. Well, MMA sucks too, right? I remember when I was in my 20s and studying MMA, a guy came up to me and said, oh, do you study martial arts? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, what do you study? And I said, oh, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and some different styles of boxing. And he was like, oh, do you do MMA? And I said, yeah. And he was like, oh, well, what would you do if I had my friend Smith & Wesson with me? You know, and I remember when he said that to me, I just looked at him like he was crazy. You know, I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But he was pointing out something very valid to me, and it's like, well, within the realm of gunfights, if I have a gun and you don't, it doesn't matter what you're trained in my perfect context, you won't win, right? And it seems like a silly thing to say to me because it's like, well, I don't worry about fighting with guns, you know, and definitely at the time I wasn't worried about gunplay. It wasn't really a major consideration of mine. But this guy was, and to this guy, it was like, well, why should I learn to box when I could get a gun and use a gun, you know? And you hear people say this kind of stuff about martial arts all the time, you know, like, well, now that firearms exist, why should martial arts exist? And it's like, well, I mean, you know, swords existed a long time ago, and we still have martial arts. Knives existed a long time ago, we still have martial arts. Rocks existed a long time ago, and we still have martial arts, right? Martial arts are developed around the weapon, so, pistolcraft is definitely a martial art, right? Is an art form. Being able to, under pressure, pull out your weapon, put your front sights on something, and squeeze the trigger, and make sure you understand what's behind your target and what's around you, and being able to do that in a very fast manner, and being able to scan for other potential targets. That is definitely a martial art. And it might not be one that you're interested in studying, and that's okay. And so if that isn't something you're interested in studying, then, you know, you could very easily say, well, it's stupid to study pistol craft, because who carries a pistol, right? Not many people carry a pistol. Well, some people do, and those people are interested in learning to use that people. Some people have no interest in learning to use a pistol, and so they learn unarmed methods, right? Some people are interested in using blades or all kinds of different stuff. And basically you choose systems based on what you're interested in learning. So any system sucks when compared to other things. You know, MMA sucks if I've got a gun, right? Well, guns suck if you don't have one, right? So training with a gun sucks if you don't happen to have one. All these different ideas come into play somewhere in the world, and it's your job as a martial artist to understand where those ideas come into play. So don't be so quick to say how something sucks, right? Or at least, at the very least, understand that everything sucks, right? Everything sucks. All martial arts systems suck. Out of context, all martial arts systems are absolutely terrible, right? So, you know, I don't know one martial arts system in the world that can teach you about sailing a boat, right? And if sailing a boat is what you're interested in learning to do, well, then you shouldn't study martial arts, and it's that simple, right? And if you do want to learn about conflict, then you should study martial arts, and you should probably study a lot of martial arts, because conflict is a huge area, right? If you're seriously interested in studying the martial arts and understanding what conflict's about, there's a lot to understand. So you should get out there and check out all the different systems out there, and just remember they all suck in one way or another, but most of them are probably really good too, and warrant your attention. All right, so that's just a little bit I wanted to talk about how martial arts suck. All right, take care. I'm Chris Hine.